if I put solar on my rooftop and when the sun is shining intensely and the solar panels are working to their optimum, my meter is actually running backwards because I'm generating more electricity than I'm actually using. And when the sun goes down, or it's cloudy, or in the evening, I get compensated for that excess electricity. I get credited for it from the utility. And that's called net metering. It's a really good thing, but from its first initiation, utilities sort of had an objection to net metering on the grounds that, hey, we're paying you back retail for electrical energy, and that's not our business model. We either produce energy or buy energy at wholesale prices, and then we sell it at retail, but when we roll back your meter, we're doing that at retail. But utilities really didn't care at the time because there wasn't very much solar energy being deployed. But all of that has changed. Now we have accelerating deployment, exponential deployment, really, of solar energy around the country, and utilities are taking an entirely different posture. In fact, in 21 states, net metering policies are under attack by investor-owned utilities. And their thesis is, the reason they're attacking net metering is that they are saying, one, they're compensating people too much by doing net metering. They're paying too much for the electricity. And two, there's a cross-subsidization that's taking place because the ratepayers who aren't deploying solar energy are paying for the fixed costs alone for the utility. So what are those? It's distribution of electricity, it's transmission of electricity, it's the administrative cost of the net metering. All of those costs, utilities say, are being unfairly borne by those people who aren't deploying solar energy. But there's a counter-argument here, and the counter-argument is really important. And the counter-argument is advanced by energy experts and people who are advocates for the solar industry. And it's this, that solar energy has value too, and that value really needs to be accounted for. It displaces electricity, so it has value as an electricity source. It has capacity value, which is a really important concept because solar energy is generated in a way that aligns with peak demand, and electricity is more expensive during periods of peak demand. Solar energy is more valuable than the average cost of electricity. It can defer the cost of investing in new infrastructure like new distribution, transmission, even new generation resources. And if it doesn't avoid those new costs, it defers them to a point in the future where we may have better technologies, more economical solutions. Finally, solar energy can make our grid more resilient. If it's deployed correctly and optimally, we can avoid blackouts by deploying solar energy. So it has all of these values that can be quantified, measured, and monetized. And so what is happening, and what has just happened in Minnesota, is really important. What Minnesota has done through their legislature and through their state agencies is they assembled stakeholders to gather together and do a group analysis of the value of solar, to account for and quantify all the monetary benefits, economic benefits of solar energy, as well as all of their costs, because there are definitely both. And then to come up, the objective is to come up with a market price that works. And they did that in Minnesota, and they have a preliminary market price that is about 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour. So what does that mean? That means that people, if this was actually put into place in Minnesota, which it's likely to be, people today will be compensated a little more for solar energy than they're paying for electricity that they purchase from the utility. But here's the other interesting thing about the value of solar methodology and what it may mean for Minnesota. It may be a good thing for the utilities as well, because the utilities can lock into this 14.5 cents per kilowatt price, and over time, when the cost of conventional electricity rises, which it will on the average of 3 or 4% per year, utilities will, in the long run, save money by paying this 14.5 cents than they would under net metering. So it's a win-win for potentially for both the consumer who's deploying solar energy and the utility who needs a reliable revenue model. Is that too wonky?
No, that's wonky is fine.